Hi, I'm Jeff Harkness with a look at what's ahead for the University of South Dakota and South Dakota State in Week 2 of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. And both teams kind of in a similar spot right now because both coming off very disappointing losses at home. The Coyotes to Youngstown State, the Jackrabbits to North Dakota State. And it was mainly the offenses that really were almost non-existent in these games. And so we'll talk about going forward where the similarities are and where these two teams need to do things differently. Let's start with the Coyotes. They were losers 31-3 to Youngstown State. And again, the defense played better than the 31 points would suggest, but the offense turned the ball over and got the defense into really some holes there that the defense just couldn't get themselves out of. USD really couldn't do anything running the ball, couldn't do anything moving the ball on offense at all. And so the Coyotes are really looking to respond with an offensive effort when they play at Western Illinois coming up this weekend. As for the Leathernecks, well, they barely escaped with a last-second field goal to beat Southern Illinois 37-36. But this is an offense that's capable of scoring a lot of points. Just ask the Coyotes. Last year in the Dakota Dome, Trenton Norvell, the quarterback for the Leathernecks, threw for 5 touchdown passes against USD. So they're well aware of what this offense is capable of. And so if the defense is looking to make a name for themselves, this will be a great place. And also Nico Watson, a running back that was on the team a couple of years ago, then got kicked off the team and is back, did not play in that USD game last year in Vermillion, but did play last week against Southern Illinois. And Watson had a career-high 174 yards rushing, and so he obviously is a guy that needs to be reckoned with as well. But what the Coyotes need to do, keep Trevor Bauma healthy because he left that game against Youngstown State with an injury. Without him in there, they could really generate little, if nothing, in terms of a running game that made it difficult for Kyle Sager to throw the ball as well. And so just 9 completions against Youngstown State's defense. Now, keep in mind, that's a big number because Youngstown State had one of the top passing defenses in the country, but still, the Coyotes need to generate far more on offense in this game and also look for a way to shut down Norvell, who's had big games against them in the past, and try to contain Nico Watson if they're going to have a chance to win in Macomb on Saturday. Kickoff at 3 o'clock at Western Illinois. The Jackrabbits, meanwhile, come off a very disappointing performance in front of the biggest crowd ever in the history of Coughlin Alumni Stadium, the then number 5 Jacks, losing to number 3 North Dakota State in front of 17,348 up in Brookings, 28-7. And this one was marred by a number of mental mistakes for the Jackrabbits, including 10 penalties, a number of which involved illegal formation and other mental types of things that Coach John Stiegelmeier and his team are trying to cut down. They also had a special teams player, Trevor Wesley. Instead of letting a kickoff go out of bounds, he decided to field it and then goes out of bounds at the 4-yard line. Field position was a real problem. And the Coyotes, the Jackrabbits defense, I should say, again, had a lot of issues because the Jackrabbit offense was not converting on 4th down, just 2 of 15 on 3rd down conversions. And so that made it very difficult for the SDSU defense to keep North Dakota State off the field. In fact, North Dakota State had it for 39 minutes, adding to their total of leading the nation in time of possession. And so the Jackrabbit offense needs to do a better job of staying on the field, converting on 3rd down, and that happens on 1st and 2nd down, generating some yardage. Remember, the Jacks rushed for -4 yards against the Bison, so they obviously have to find a running game with Brady Mangarelli and with Isaac Wallace to complement Zach Lujan, who needs to get better protection. Lujan was sacked 3 times against the Bison and was hurried and knocked down the rest of the night as well. We'll see if he's 100% because he got really beat up in that game. Jake Winicky only had 3 catches, and so defenses obviously are trying to shut down the talented wide receiver, which is freeing things up for the tight ends for South Dakota State. Dallas Goddard, Cam Jones, already with 20 catches combined this year. Remember, the tight ends only caught 16 balls total last year. So South Dakota State needs to find a way to get it more diversified on offense, go back to that 50-50 attack, pick up some first downs, keep the chains moving, generate some scoring drives, and keep the defense off the field. Meanwhile, for Indiana State, they have the reigning offensive player in the conference right now in quarterback Matt Adams. He's just a sophomore, but threw for 265 yards and 4 touchdowns in their big win over Missouri State last week. In fact, in 4 games this year, the Sycamores of Indiana State have rung up more points than any other Missouri Valley team, 151 points in 4 games. They're the number 19 team in the nation coming in, and not just with a great quarterback in Matt Adams, but also with a number of different looks offensively. They will challenge this Jackrabbit defense just from a scheme standpoint because of all the different looks they give you, including the Wildcat. Kelvin Cook, who's a wide receiver, had 114 all-purpose yards against Missouri State, and a lot of those came out of the Wildcat formation as well. They also returned a kick for a touchdown on the punt coverage as well, so they can get it done on special teams. That's a 6 o'clock start in Terre Haute coming up on Saturday night. So again, look for the Jackrabbits and the Coyotes to look at these weeks as bounce-back weeks as they try to erase the memories of some disappointing home losses last weekend as we move into week 2 of the Missouri Valley football schedule.